A couple of weeks ago, I attempted an amnesia challenge, which I ultimately failed. The challenge was to obtain every single achievement in every single amnesia game in under 48 hours, and I was pretty confident that I would have succeeded. That was until The Dark Descent blue screened my computer for the third time, and I had to give up. But one of the games I did manage to get through and complete fully was 2023's Amnesia: The Bunker. And because I enjoyed it so much and think it's a great game that returns the Amnesia franchise back to terrifying form, I wanted to share the hunt with you guys in today's video. Before we get started, if you're someone who is constantly chasing the endorphins of that achievement unlock sound, just like me, then make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for a brand new trophy or achievement hunt every single week. And now, without much further ado, welcome to this week's endorphin hunt. Let's get into it. The Bunker's story takes place during World War I and sees us playing as Henry Clement, a French soldier battling on the front lines. The game wastes no time and throws you right into the action to teach you the ropes, having you traverse a series of trenches and fight against enemy soldiers. Eventually, we find ourselves pinned by gas grenades, and just as all hope seems lost, are saved by our friend Augustin Lambert. Some time passes before we find ourselves in the middle of no man's land. We come across a large crater, in which we spot Lambert, who we have apparently been searching for. He's not in a good way at all, so we give him some water from the nearby spring and drag him out of the hole. We try to carry him to safety, but are spotted by German soldiers and attacked, ultimately falling unconscious next to our friend. It's okay, he's just sleeping, right? In true Amnesia fashion, the game tells us that we're now on our own, and the real horror begins. Now, I wanted to note a couple of things about my playthrough here. One, I was trying to speedrun it as part of the overall challenge, so I'll often be zooming through sections and skipping over notes without taking it all in. But I have played this before, and already know the full story, which I'll run through at the end of this video. And two, because these games were all free on PC Game Pass, I decided to do my hunting through Xbox. Ew, I know, right? Unfortunately, I had a major issue with getting my achievements to appear on screen when they popped, so you'll only be seeing the ones I add in on screen instead. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get back into it. We awake in the medical wing of a bunker. Roll credits. We find a note written by a doctor which states that we have suffered severe head trauma and are therefore suffering from amnesia. Roll credit. Oh, wait. What was I doing here again? We press on into the bunker, finding a flashlight with the worst mechanics when you want to stay quiet, and eventually stumbling across this happy chappy. He gives us our objective for the game, to find a detonator handle and some dynamite which we'll use to blow up the collapsed tunnel and escape, and also mentions that something is haunting the halls of the bunker. He says that he doesn't want to die by this creature's hand, and so asks us to take his pistol and kill him instead. We're apparently happy to oblige, but then... where... I'm sure he's fine? After heading down another hallway, we come to the administration room and earn our first achievement of the run for finding it, Enlisted. This room essentially acts as our safe room for the majority of the game, containing a save point, the map of the bunker, and a storage box. Also, in a room attached to it is the generator, which is easily the most important thing in this game for our survival. By filling this up with fuel and turning it on, we power the lights of the halls, which act as a deterrent to the beasts showing up frequently. However, the fuel will only last so long, and if it runs out, the generator will fail and plunge us into darkness. Luckily, the game gives us a pocket stopwatch which we can sync with the generator and use to keep an eye on how much fuel we have left. Nice. We head out of the office to find the collapsed tunnel, which the guy who is definitely still alive told us about, along with a note. This tells us the locations of our two key items. The dynamite is locked in the arsenal, and the handle is down in the Roman tunnels. And with that, we have our heading. But in order to get to those locations, we're faced with the task of lifting the emergency lockdown. Easy enough, just turn this handle and... oh. Wow, I'm clearly hench as fuck. I should just go and deck the monster. Problem solved. Throughout the game, key items which we need to obtain in order to progress will be hidden in lockers within this storage room. To open the lockers, we must first find the corresponding dog tag of the soldier who owns it, on the back of which will be a 4-digit code. And you can bet that there's a tasty achievement waiting for us when we unlock them all. The first one we need to find is Delisle's, so we venture into the officers' quarters to find it. Hola! Jesus Christ, you look so much worse. You look so much worse in higher def. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't even show what his body looked like. Let's just say he was gorgeous and move on. With Delisle's code obtained, we were able to grab a brand new handle from his locker and use it to lift the lockdown. Erning gave the all clear for doing so. And with that out of the way, we can now fully explore the bunker and discover all of the secrets within. I decided to get started with the arsenal and headed down further into the depths of hell. And it wasn't long until we met what was lurking down there. There it is! Beastie Boy! Oh, the blurry, pulsating vision throws you right back to the days of the Dark Descent, and I love it. As a reward for this encounter, we unlock Got Introduced. And it turns out we need to find a code to get into the arsenal, so we head back to safety. Yes, that's the only reason. There's nothing else. Anyway, we instead make our way to the soldiers' quarters to find the code. One of the puzzles we encounter down here is to turn on every switch without breaking the daisy chain in order to unlock communications. But one of the switches is hidden behind this padlocked gate, which we need to shoot to open. So, we whip out our big brain and fashion an elegant solution. Giving the beast a bonk on the head also unlocks Cut It Off. Honestly, such a big brain. With that done, we head back up to make a quick stop at the storage room for another achievement. Using the code we found in the soldiers' quarters, we find a gas mask and unlock Easy Breather. But the victory is short-lived when the beast manages to track us down again. No, isn't he adorable? Once Beastie Boy has found something better to do and left us alone, we head up to communications and finally obtain the arsenal code, unlocking Signalman. And then we waste no time storming the arsenal to find the dynamite and unlock another achievement, Munitions Expert. Beautiful. Alongside Beastie Boy, another enemy we encounter throughout the bunker are rats. These normally congregate in groups and will either attack you or alert the beast to your location if you get too close. The game has a few achievements associated with them and interacting with them in various ways, and we get our first one, Culinary Specialist, for luring them away with a piece of meat. There are a couple more to unlock, which we'll return to later. The rats are usually found around a dead body, which they'll be happily nibbling on. In order to stop them appearing in that spot, you need to shoo them away with a torch and then burn the body so that they lose interest. And the first time you do this, you'll receive 2 achievements: Pitmaster for burning a body, and Arsonist for setting a fuel puddle on fire. Well, that should be how you earn those achievements. My experience was a little bit different. You're a bitch. Fuck. I think I might die here. He may be a bitch, but those achievements are technically his. He ain't having them, but I'll acknowledge it at least. Our next task is to head to the chapel to find a key to the pillbox. But before we do that, we make another quick stop by the storage room to open another locker, grab the lighter, and unlock Flint and Steel. And now, with no other reason to delay it, we make our way to the chapel. Oh damn. Discovered the beast's nest in the chaplain.
Oh, damn. I prefer I didn't. Scared me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, not my proudest moment, I'll admit. Key acquired, we climb our way into the pillbox to find the dog tag of Foreman Stafford, which gives us the code we need to access his locker and find the wrench, and also earns us Memorialist. Amnesia the Bunker features a number of different types of collectibles. Most of these are notes and photographs, which give you information about your quests and the general story of the game. But one type, the maps, are designed to help you navigate each area of the bunker, giving you more information about what to expect once you've acquired them. These are fairly easy to find throughout your travels, and when we head down into the prison and find the final one, we earn ourselves Cartographer. Now, let me take a moment to tell you again about my big old brain. Prior to diving into this game, I had a gander at the achievements to get a head start on what I was in for, and so I knew that one of them, Trickster, required me to hurt the beast using a tripwire, which you can find set up throughout the bunker. Whilst in the prison, I saw a perfect opportunity to do this when the beast appeared on the other side of a wire to me. This is how it went.
Oi! Pussyo! Pussyo! Come here! Yeah. Keep it coming. Come here. Come. You see me? Hello. Oh, you are a pussy hole, aren't you? Oh, dear.
Yeah. On the bright side, I did somehow earn Saboteur for blowing up a door with a barrel. No idea how, but I'll take it. And now, time for an actual big brain moment so I can redeem myself. In the prison, you can find a German prisoner who had been captured before everything went to hell and then left behind. Unfortunately for him, he's in the same cell as the bolt cutters that we're searching for, which means that when I open his cell to acquire them, Beastie Boy is gonna have a quick snack. However, Life Preserver gives you the challenge of obtaining the bolt cutters without the prisoner dying. Okay, game. Challenge accepted.
Did it just laugh? Okay, I think I know what I need to do. 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 Yeah, there you go. I did it. Oh, I did it. Fuck me, that was stressful though.
With the bolt cutters in hand, we were now able to gain access to a brand new area of the bunker, the Roman tunnels. We were also able to snag a quick achievement along the way, Tinkerer, for disabling a tripwire. The tunnels are perhaps the strangest section of this game. The entire experience of walking through them is just unnerving, even though there's only one enemy who can actually attack you. This happy chappy singing a little ditty.
We were the world we were.
Unfortunately though, we requested a different song, and the audacity of this man singing the wrong one must be punished. So we shoot him in the face. Get it right next time, buddy. As well as being the part of the game in which my butt was clenched the most, the tunnels are also an area absolutely rife with achievements. So let's barrel through the ones we earned. We grab our first after swiping the shotgun from the singing dead man, Cannoneer. Then we use that shotgun to blast open a door to earn Improviser, because using handles in 2023 is cringe. We also earn one more for shooting at something else in the tunnels. These strange apparitions of people walking around, unlocking Shell Shocked. An important note for anyone who wants to tackle this hunt, to earn this achievement you need to use the shotgun, not the pistol, as I found out far too late. And now that we're thoroughly out of bullets, we venture deeper and find the detonator handle, earning us Explosives Technician, as well as the final pocket bag. the collectibles that increase your storage space, which unlocks Pack Rat. Oh, 5 achievements in 5 minutes is a damn good feeling, I must say. But we're not done yet. There's one more achievement to be collected in this area, which we find by clearing the makeshift barricades here and crawling through the hole. You may recognize the area we emerge into from the start of the game, when we found our injured friend. For me, this was when the story started to really come together, especially when I found this stuffed bunny. Doing so earns us Toy Collector, and also allows us to delve deeper into the story with the beast, which we'll get into in just a second. First though, we take Lambert's dog tag code back to his locker and open it to unlock Codebreaker. Inside the locker, we find a few diary entries from Lambert, which speak about him feeling himself being called to a higher purpose and not quite feeling like himself. Weird. Back to the stuffed bunny, and there's a couple more achievements that I now tasked myself with completing. To unlock the first one, we lured the beast into the halls and left the bunny for it to find. I unfortunately didn't capture what happened. Not because I was too scared to look or anything. Listen, I'm a big brave boy. But the beast will take the toy and run away, leaving us with Sentimentalist. But, excuse me, good sir, have you never heard of Finders Keepers? That bunny is mine, and we let it know as much by heading back to the beast lair in the Chaplain and swiping that toy right back for ourselves from its altar, earning Toy Fanatic for doing so. I'm sure at this point you've already started piecing together the twist of the story for yourselves, but if you haven't, don't worry, because I'll go over it all at the end of this video. But for now, back to the hunt. With the dynamite and the detonator handle in our possession, we had everything we needed to blow the debris and head down into the final chapter of the story. But before we do that and leave the bunker for good, there were a few more achievements that I knew I could quickly mop up. First, we lure the beast out once again, but this time give him a less pleasant surprise by shooting the gas canister next to him, earning us Chemical Weapons Expert. Then we turn our murderous intentions to the other enemies in the bunker, the rats.
Blew up lots of rats with a single grenade, called Extreme Ratter. Nice!
Next up, we turn our attention to the remaining collectibles that we need to find. The first of these are the vents and chains, which hide other goodies for us to find once we get past them. We find the final vent in the soldiers' quarters and are awarded, whatever that word is. Clethrophobist? Sure, that sounds about right. The next set of collectibles were a bit more tricky to track down, these being the notes and the photographs. I'd thankfully managed to acquire the majority of them through my travels anyway, but the final 5 or so had me scouring walkthroughs and guides online to locate. Eventually, we found the final note on top of a bunk bed, and unlocked Librarian. And then the final set of collectibles was a bit of a strange one. Roastmaster requires us, and I quote, to burn a lot of dead bodies. Helpful. Although the game doesn't specifically state it, the number you need to hit is 12. And for anyone attempting this run themselves, I'd recommend trying to burn every body you come across once you've collected the dog tags from them. I unfortunately didn't do this, which resulted in me running around the bunker frantically searching for each one. After about 20 minutes, we ventured into the cells of the prison and, thanks to a rat giving away its position, found the final body. Honestly, the rats really came in clutch with some of these achievements, I can't lie. And with those out of the way, it was time to wrap up the story. After blowing through the debris, we find ourselves in this strange cavern, with a number of walkways stretched across it. This turns out to be the stage for our final fight with the beast. I actually didn't realize until I was writing this script, but there is a way for you not to kill the beast and still escape. In our playthrough, we just turned straight to violence.
Why have I put my grenade away? I don't know. Bye-bye!
With the beast silenced and our path ahead clear, we make our break for freedom.
Bruh, let me out. Bruh, move, bruh. Holy shit. Finish the game. Napu. And then efficiency expert, never dropped nor stored an item. We also Scarpa, we escaped the bunker. Nice. Woo! 3 achievements right at the end. That was sick.
For those of you who are interested, I managed to find a clip online that shows what happens if you don't kill the beast before escaping. Personally, I prefer the true ending of the game, for reasons I'll get into later on. The story is done, but the achievement hunt is not, so we dive right back into the game to unlock the remaining few. The next one we tackle is easily my favourite one of the game, and is a staple of the Amnesia series. We load a new save file and play through until we reach this moment, in which we encounter the beast for the first time as it kills a fellow soldier. And we say hell no to that noise and quit back to the main menu. For our cowardice, we're rewarded Nope, c'est trop, which roughly translates to nope, it's too much. And now it was time for me to tackle the biggest challenge of this run, the Tout Suite achievement. This requires you to complete the game faster than all the developers at Frictional, the company behind the game, and is, to put it simply, a speedrunning achievement. The biggest challenge of the game, yes, but one I was actually really looking forward to tackling. Unfortunately for us though, similarly to the Roastmaster achievement, they don't actually give us the exact time we're aiming to beat. Guides online put the time at around 40 minutes, so I kept that in mind. And because apparently this wasn't enough of a task for me, I decided to pair it with another achievement. Got it in 1. This one tasks you with completing the game without saving, which honestly sounds easy enough on its own. After all, I didn't actually die once during my initial playthrough, so theoretically, I would have no trouble with unlocking it. And with a runtime of sub 40 minutes ahead of me anyway, I figured that it would just be better to combine the 2 achievements, rather than have to sit through an extra playthrough. I made a note of all of the important locations and items I needed to find, readied myself for the challenge, and started up a new save file.
Annoyingly. He's gonna get me here, I think. I don't think there's much I can do. Fuck. Hola. Oh shit, I blew up the wrong door. That was so dumb. Oh.
Okay, so a little bit more of a challenge than I'd anticipated. But this death and subsequent reset to the start of the game did plant the seed for a new plan of action. When the developers released the game, one of the features they spoke proudly of was the game's replayability, thanks to the fact that the codes and items you find throughout the bunker are randomized for each new save file. This means that the codes I'd found in my first playthrough would no longer work in my new one. But it also meant that I could exploit this and make my challenge significantly easier. The first step of the plan was loading up a new game and working my way through to find all of the important codes and item locations that I needed. I made a note of these and then I restarted from my previous save file, the beginning of the game. This big brain move completely reset my timer for the run and cut out all of the tedious work I'd need to do finding the codes, allowing me to just speed through the sections with ease. And thanks to that choice, we finished the game a second time with 27 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, unlocking Toot Sweet and got it in one. Is it bad that I'm kind of bothered that I didn't get a sub 25 time?
Yep. Blasted a rat.
For the final achievement of our run, we returned to a challenge that I had attempted and failed earlier in the video, to hurt the beast using a tripwire. Originally, I had attempted to lure the beast towards me and get it to activate a wire, but this never seemed to work. Maybe it's actually smarter than I give it credit for. So, I switched up my tactics and prepared for the finale.
We did it! Woo! 40 hours and 43 minutes left on the clock, and Amnesia Bunker is donezo, crossed off. Nice, man, nice. Good shit, good shit.
And I'm proud to say that our Amnesia the Bunker achievement hunt is completed. So, what is the overall story of Amnesia the Bunker? We start the game saving our friend Lambert, who is trapped in a large cavern. Before this, we hear a conversation between the two in which we, Clement, beat Lambert in a bet, which results in Lambert being the one to go out on patrol. What's not entirely clear here is that Clement cheated to ensure he didn't lose, and then, when Lambert doesn't return from his patrol, we set out to find him due to the immense guilt of our actions. To help Lambert regain his strength, we give him water from the nearby spring, which, unbeknownst to us, seals his fate. You may have noticed that Lambert looks quite dead when we get attacked by the German forces before passing out, but then the notes found in the bunker reveal that Lambert himself had carried us to safety and didn't have a scratch on him. Meanwhile, during their excavation of the Roman tunnels, some soldiers reported experiencing hallucinations and hearing strange noises, which eventually drove them to try and blow up the tunnels to seal them out of pure fear. This is all due to the fact that the tunnels were previously the home of the Mithraic cult, and now a curse lives within them and wraiths stalk the halls, all of which drove the men to madness. This curse also spread to the water unearthed in the cavern and given to Lambert. Whilst curing him of all of his ailments, it also inflicted him with the slightly inconvenient habit of randomly transforming into an unspeakable creature and attacking his fellow soldiers. Eventually, Lambert transformed for the final time, and remained stuck in the form of the beast which we encounter after waking up from our coma. This brings us on to the two possible endings of the game. After figuring out the truth, Clement is faced with a choice: kill the beast and subsequently his best friend before escaping, or show it mercy and allow it to escape. I mentioned earlier that I prefer the true ending of the game, which features us killing the creature. For me, this feels in keeping with the themes that I see the Amnesia stories culminating in: making the right choice, no matter how hard it is, to atone for the mistakes you've made and the horrors you've unleashed. Even though he was trying to help, it was Clement who doomed Lambert to become the beast and unleashed the hell on the bunker, so it should be him to make that final choice to end it. I do like the other ending for the humanity it features, but my personal choice is the former. Unfortunately though, despite us scrambling to freedom and seemingly reaching safety, all that lies ahead for us is the very real horror of war, as an enemy squad closes in on our position. Clement's fate remains unknown. Oh, what a game! For me, like many horror game fans, the Amnesia series holds a special place in my heart. And while Machine for Pigs and Rebirth weren't necessarily bad games by any means, The Bunker represents a true return to form for the series. The horror of the situation was beautifully executed, from the constant stress of having a limited supply of fuel for the generator to keep the lights on, to the unwavering persistence of the beast stalking you, even after you've pumped it full of bullets. And even though the story may have been obvious for a few people and the twist not as impactful, I personally loved it, and really liked the fact that it included enough references to tie itself into the Amnesia universe, whilst also firmly setting itself aside as a standalone story. And the achievement hunt only added to the overall experience. Most of them were easy enough to obtain as you worked your way through the story, and would often push you to explore more of the lore and understand what was really going on. And then there were the challenges thrown in that really kept you on your toes. These weren't difficult or unobtainable, but still had a nice sense of accomplishment when you conquered them. Was the game completely perfect? No, of course it wasn't. My main gripes were the fact that the beast never really felt like that much of a threat once you understood its mechanics and figured out that just hiding under an unbreakable table would be enough to avoid any danger, as long as you made sure it was unbreakable.
Oh, como está? Back the fuck off, bro.
This, coupled with the safety unlocked if you managed to keep the generator stocked on fuel, would sometimes completely remove the horror aspect as I merrily ran through the halls looking for collectibles. But the threat of the finite resource and knowing that one misstep over a tripwire would bring the beast to nibble on my giblets was enough to make me never feel truly safe. So it was never a hugely negative impact on my experience. When I set out to complete the 48-hour challenge, I chose to start with the bunker because it was the one I was the most familiar with, but also because I knew it would get me pumped for the rest of the challenge. And it did. I was itching to dive back into the rest of them once I'd finished, and it's a shame that ultimately that wasn't meant to be. I'll hopefully return to the challenge in the next year or so once I can buy the games on my console, and I'm pretty confident that I'll have it unlocked next time. And I'm also confident that I'll have a blast playing through the bunker once again. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. Also, if you would like to see more horror games from me on this channel, let me know in the comments which ones. And subscribe to the channel for a brand new trophy or achievement hunt every single week and to support me as a creator. Have a great day and happy hunting.